Hey, so I have been thinking about this week and actually just had a conversation on Instagram direct messages with a friend about the stages that a business goes through when it comes to sales, focus, and social media. So we were having this conversation earlier in the week where you see some people who focus really hard on, say, growing their Instagram from 0 to 10 million or growing their YouTube channel from 0 to a million subscribers, and that's what they do in a year. And we were saying that we both typically work with quarterly goals, which is part of what I teach in the map making guide. But what we tend to do is like shift. And so, like, one quarter we focus on Instagram, one quarter we focus on launching our new course, one quarter we focus on YouTube. And she was saying whenever she focuses, she sees real growth, but then she kind of stops doing what she was doing that got her growth in that area. And it doesn't go away, it's still there. She goes on to the next thing. And as I was thinking about this, I realized that I have a theory on how this works. And I think that most people go about building their business in one of two ways. And the first way is a way we see like talked about and blogged about a lot, but it's actually way less common in my many conversations with people who have successful businesses. And by successful, again, I mean successful by their own metric. They're making what they want to make and they're spending their time the way they want to spend it. So these might not be people who blog, I had a 7-figure month, but they have the businesses they want. So method one, which we see blogged about a lot, but which I haven't met many people who have built a long-term business on, and that is I focus on one tool, and by tool or platform, I mean like YouTube or Instagram or blogging or email list. I blow it up huge, and then typically those people have focused on the tool, blowed it up huge, and then have to figure out what they sell. So then they spend a stage. So the first stage is blowing up one tool. The second stage is building something around it that they can sell to the audience they have on that tool. And that takes time. And then the third step is actually an actual business, right? That has products and has customers and has systems in place. So that's one way of doing it. And those are 3 stages. So the second way of doing it, and this is what I see way more often, and this is definitely how I've done it, and this is how many of my students have done it, and maybe that's part of it, like we're just a self-selecting group, but I'm betting many of you are in this stage or in this way of building a business. And that stage 1 is figuring out what you sell and how to talk about it and trying all the things. And this doesn't feel like progress because you don't get big anywhere, right? You don't necessarily have huge sales. You don't have a huge following because you're still figuring out what you sell and you're figuring it out how to talk about it, and you're really just learning, like, how does Instagram work? Okay, how does email systems work? Like, how do I send a regular newsletter? So you're just like figuring it out as you go, but kind of all the pieces at once, right? So this usually, instead of starting with a platform, like I'm huge on Instagram, it starts with a product. Like I am a calligrapher, I want to sell calligraphy. I'm a painter, I want to sell my paintings. I'm a sewer, I want to sell my dresses. I'm a knitwear designer, I want to sell my designs, right? So you're figuring out kind of what you do, and you know what you sell, but you might not know real specific what makes your work special. That's what I mean about learning how to talk about it, is you figure out what makes it special. That's stage 1. This can take a year, 3 years, 6 months. Stage 2 in this kind of business, in this stage you focus on sales and profitability. So you go from selling a couple a month to selling regularly. Maybe you get wholesale accounts. And your focus, your own focus, is on sales and not on platform. That's another stage. The end of that stage is when you get to the point where you're happy with the amount of money you make and like you've hit your goals and you're not suddenly coming up with new sales goals. So a lot of people in the beginning, they'll set a goal that's like, I want to just make $50 a month. But then they're like, well, what I really want to make is $1,000 a month. And then they're like, okay, what I really want to make is $3,000 a month. And that's like, I could live on that. Or whatever the number is for you and where you live. Okay, so that's the end of stage 2. Stage 3 is and this is where I am, to be honest with you, and this is why I was thinking about it. And in this stage, I think, depending on what you want to do next, you can either go bigger with sales, right? Like I can just sell my stuff to a lot more people, or I can create much higher price products, or I could get into something else entirely, right? And do kind of the cycle again from the beginning. or you pick a platform and you focus in on that platform and you get bigger there. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking that when you need money and you need to make sales up front, that slows the time and energy you spend on audience growth. So if you guys pay any attention to numbers at all, you'll see I do not have a huge Instagram audience. I don't have a huge email list. I don't have a huge YouTube subscriber base. And yet I make what I want to make in my business. It supports both me and my husband full time and a part-time employee, contractor technically, and a couple other contractors. And I'm super happy with it. Like, we're getting to do the things in our life we want to do. But the next stage isn't, to me, like a huge audience, but it is some other goals, and that will require focusing on one platform. The reason I want to talk to you about it today is A, this is supposed to be the space where I share what I'm thinking about in my own business, but B, I see so many people who get confused about which model they're following, and I was this way too, right? So you're focusing on sales because you need sales, because if you're going to spend time and energy on it, you need it to make money. But yet you see people who are spending their new time and energy, their new business time and energy, just getting big on platforms and not actually selling anything yet. Now, there's also the problem that people compare themselves not just to other business models, but other stages. Bo just got up on the couch with me. So that's just something I've been thinking about. That's my theory. I have no idea if it's true or not. It's just a theory I'm working on. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me your theory about business growth, what stage you think you're in, if you think this applies at all, or you think